Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, March 5th, 2024, and this is the hearing for the City of Tempe hearing officer. My name is Vanessa McDonald. I'll be conducting the hearing this afternoon. I'm going to read a few things into the record this afternoon, and then we'll go ahead and jump into our agenda. The City of Tempe hearing officer is authorized by Arizona Revised Statutes and the City of Tempe Zoning and Development Code. The hearing officer has the duty to carry out the provisions and the intent of the Tempe City Code and the Zoning and Development Code. The hearing officer is granted the authority to conduct public hearings to decide upon the abatement of code violations occurring on properties within the city. These violations include, among other things, deteriorated structures or landscaping, storage of junk or refuse, and inoperable or unregistered vehicles. Abatement actions are brought before the hearing officer by the city's Code Compliance Division, typically after numerous attempts at contacting the property owner to obtain voluntary compliance with the code. The hearing officer may issue an order directing the owner, occupant, property manager, or other responsible person to remediate a code violation or to authorize the city to abate the property to correct the code violation. The cost of the abatement is the responsibility of the owner of the property where the violation occurred and will be collected as an assessment against the property in violation of the code. On today's agenda, we have 3 items. We have a set of minutes from February 20th, 2024, and 2 property abatements. Any property owner who is aggrieved by a decision of the hearing officer may file an appeal within 14 calendar days after the hearing officer has made a decision. Therefore, the deadline for appealing any decision rendered today is 3 p.m. on March 19th, 2024. Appeals are heard by the Board of Adjustment, after which they may also be appealed to the Superior Court. A property owner has 14 days to either file an appeal or bring their property into code compliance within this 14-day window. If neither of these things happen within the required 14-day window, the property will be abated by the city. Joining me this afternoon from Community Development are, to my left, Cassidy Hernandez and Sean DeFara. Thanks for being here. As I mentioned, we have a set of minutes. The first item on our agenda, the minutes from February 20th, 2024. Cassidy sent those to me shortly after the hearing a couple weeks ago, and I believe they accurately reflect what took place at that hearing. So I'm going to go ahead and approve the minutes from February 20th, 2024. That brings us to agenda item number 2, which is a request to abate public nuisance items at the Graffis property. This property is located at 210 East Vaughn Drive. The applicant is the City of Tempe, represented this afternoon by Code Inspector Jeff Troy. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Madam Hearing Officer. My name is Jeff Troy. I'm a Code Inspector with the City of Tempe.
Good to meet you.
Well, nice to meet you too. I'm here to ask for a 180-day open abatement for the property at 210 East Vaughn Drive for 2 unregistered inoperable vehicles that are there in the driveway.
Great.
My involvement in the case began on October 5th. I visited the property in 2023, and I did see the 2 vehicles in the driveway and the violations, and they were clearly an eyesore and clearly visible from the public right-of-way as well. The sidewalk takes you right by it. As a matter of fact, I've heard numerous complaints from people in the neighborhood who clearly want to upkeep their homes and like to see likewise with their neighbors. I did send a correction notice to Mr. Graffis as a result of what I saw on October 5th. And then 2 weeks later, October 19th, I revisited the property. I did see that the violations were not corrected at that time. And as a result, I issued a final notice to Mr. Graffis. Now, it was right around that time, Madam Hearing Officer, that Mr. Graffis left me a couple of messages. I didn't speak to him, but he did indicate he wanted to correct the violations, either removing them so that they would not be seen or making them appear operable and updating the registration. Okay. Because he did reach out and contact me, I did think it was appropriate to give him every opportunity to do that. I gave him an extended period of time to make the correction. And unfortunately, as I visited the property, often it wasn't happening. So on December 18th, I then issued a citation to Mr. Graffus. He did not contest the citation or satisfy it with the court. And that led me to conclude that issuing another citation would be fruitless,
Okay.
and that the most reasonable course of action moving forward would be to seek an open abatement and have the eyesores removed from the property.
Okay, great. Have you been out there recently?
I have been. I was there today, and I was
Okay.
also able to check that the registrations had not been updated.
Okay.
So that I learned this afternoon as well. I did go out to the property, and I have some pictures for you, Madam Hearing Officer, if you
perfect.
please.
Uh-huh.
So this is the Subaru in the driveway, and you can see by looking at it that, from that distance, this hasn't been driven in years.
Yeah.
And you can see why neighbors would complain about that as an eyesore. I took a closer picture of it as well. You can see the expiration on the plate. It looks like 21 there, but you can see what the neighbors see, and it's not pretty. And I understand their disappointment to
Yeah, he's using it as a storage
exactly.
facility.
And just next to it, adjacent to it, is a Mercedes. And I just have a close-up on that. You can see that the registration expired in 2019. And then I have some follow-up pictures of that as well. But these vehicles do not look like they've been operated in quite some time. And then I just took a picture where you can see both in the background and just see the address there, the 210, just in case there's any question of where it
Okay.
was. And that is all I have, Madam Hearing Officer.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for the pictures. They pretty much speak for themselves.
You're very
It's
welcome.
a shame. The Mercedes is a beautiful car. It could be restored to a really nice condition. But unfortunately, he probably doesn't have the resources to do that. And I agree with you, giving him extra time after he left the message, or messages. We like to be reasonable, I think, at first. But then if there's no contact after that, then we have to do what we need to do. Mr. DeFara, is anyone on the line wanting to speak on this item?
Madam Hearing Officer, no one online.
Okay, I'll make a note for the record. The only people here in the chamber are City of Tempe staff. So no one is here to speak to this agenda item. So as I mentioned, the pictures speak for themselves. You've made numerous attempts over the last 5 months to contact the property owner, and given his lack of inaction or attention to the code violation, I'm going to go ahead and grant your 180-day open abatement request contained in application CE 207434. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That brings us to our next agenda item. This is a request to abate public nuisance items at the McDonald property, no relation to me, Vanessa McDonald, located at 2111 North Van Ness Avenue. The applicant is the City of Tempe. Code compliance represented this afternoon by Inspector Andres Lara Reyes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Madam Hearing Officer. My name is Andres Lara Reyes. I'm a code inspector with the City of Tempe Community Enhancement Division. I'm here this evening to request an 180-day open abatement for the property located at 2111 North Van Ness Avenue in Tempe, Arizona, 85281. Property owner Joy and Lori McDonald. This case was initiated by public complaint on July 27, 2023. This was for a rat infestation and a green pole. I visited the property on July 28, 2023, and did not observe a green pole. I also spoke to the owner at the property, Joy McDonald, and hand-delivered the first correction notice. I did explain to the owner the concerns from the neighbors regarding the rat infestation and provided her with CARE 7 information to contact. I re-inspected the property on August 31st, 2023, and I did not observe any improvements done to the property. I hand-delivered a final notice to comply at that time. I reviewed the case with Mr. Drew Yoakum, Code Compliance Administrator, on September 14, 2023, explained to him that the owner had requested an extension. An extension was granted, and we're told that that other agencies are involved to assist the owner in this case. I inspected the property again on January 10th of this year, 2024, and I observed excessive trash bags and over high grass and weeds in the front and back, and also in the carport. I also observed the owner living in the carport. I hand delivered one more final notice for all violations on January 12th, 2024. At this time, I got off my truck, I spoke to the owner, and I explained the current violations that needed to be corrected. She was very upset and stated that the city does not help her. So at this time, I instructed her to contact 4311 for assistance, for any assistance. As of this morning, there has been no improvements or changes to the property. Still remains in violation for trash and debris and over high grass and weeds.
Okay.
So at this time, I'll present the photos from this morning. This is a photo of the backyard. Towards the back is the trash bags that I mentioned in the notices, over high grass and weeds. This is also part of the backyard, over high grass and weeds. And so is this. So this is all part of the backyard condition as of this morning. The next photo is the over high grass and weeds or deteriorated landscape in the front yard. And this is also part of the front yard deteriorated landscape violation. And the final photo here is the photo of the carport. There's a few items there also, and some deteriorated landscape. So as stated before, I'm seeking a 180-day open abatement for trash and debris and over high grass and weeds in the front yard at 2111 North Van Ness Avenue.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the thorough job on the photographs
Sure.
Today. And they do, I'll just make a note, they're much more worse than what was presented in my packet. So it's only continued to deteriorate. Mr. DeFara, anyone on the line?
Madam Hearing Officer, no one online.
Okay, and I'll make a note, once again, only people here in the chamber are City of Tempe staff, so we have no public input on this agenda item. So it's been almost 8 months since you've been at this property, and it seems like they have no intention of remediating the items, and it continues to deteriorate. So therefore, you did ask for 180 days, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to grant your request for 180 days to abate the property at 2111 North Van Ness, contained in application CE 234242.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Madam Hearing Officer. Have a good
Thanks.
evening.
Thank you, you too. Mr. DeFara, any announcements?
Madam Hearing Officer, one announcement. Our next hearing officer is scheduled for Tuesday, March 19th, here in the council chambers and on Tempe Channel 11.
Great. Thank you very much. That being the conclusion of our agenda, we're adjourned.